Oh, yes, Starting to rain, but I'll just have to sit here in the rain since somebody else is where I'm usually at and there's no place for me to go. Oh. Now, denied to any person in a criminal proceeding the right to a speedy and public trial. Yes. Now, I was wondering, am I still on trial in Jefferson County? Because I haven't heard from my public defender, and considering all the times that I almost missed the bus and I would have went to jail and I thought they were waiting for me to fail to appear. Every time you gave me notice of court hearings, I actually did go to court, but when you wouldn't give me notice, I wouldn't appear. Oh, you remember the 27 days I spent in jail? Now, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, I just wanted to ask my wife, why didn't you sign the protection order? Were you in court that day, or did the court decide that they were going to violate the Washington State Foreign Protection Orders Act when they kept reissuing protection orders because they did not acknowledge the dismissal and expungement of my court record? Poach. Now, when I look at this, confronting with the witnesses against him to have a compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in my favor, I wasn't in Sequim, Washington, and I told my public defender that, and I said, well, I want to call some witnesses. Ouch! But you decided that you would not enforce any of the Bill of Rights of the Indian tribes. Now, I know a lot of Indians that get protection orders and then they leave the res. How many persons have ever had the tribal government issue a protection order where you move to some other place that happened to be a state and then they had, well, why don't you just give me all those court proceedings of every tribe of the United States? Now, for obtaining witnesses and his own expense to have assistance of counsel for his defense. Yes. Now, I had mentioned to each of the public defenders that I had in Clallam County, I actually got a copy of that expungement from my first public defender where I was found not guilty. Yes. And for some reason, the judge that officiated that let the court commissioners reissue the protection order without them having actual jurisdiction. Yes. Because they didn't want to enforce the Washington State's Foreign Protection Act because in their minds... Now, I know I've informed you in over 2 million emails that my rights are being violated, and you decided to fuck me over again. Now, require excessive bail. Pooch. $500,100 is not excessive bail, is it? Inflict cruel and unusual punishment. Excessive fines, yes. No event imposed for conviction on any offense, any penalty, imprisonment 1 year. Now, I'm just wondering, why is it that there's not a tribal government in the United States denied to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the laws, or deprive any person of liberty or property without due process of law? Pooch. Now, I'm being deprived of liberty in that I'm still on personal recognizance. Yes, I don't see my name on the docket. Right. Nobody's enforced the Washington State Equal Protections Act. Yes. And there's no one that really thinks that the BAWA has certain constraints where you violated it when you... Now, I'm wanting to file some lawsuits today. I mean, some fat fucking lawsuits. Plus any bill of exploitation law. I was convicted of the same or comparable offense in any jurisdiction in the United States. Good to see you today. Now, my right as a defendant in criminal proceedings exercise powers provided to defend the right to effective counsel. Exactly. How effective is my counsel to not admit the evidence? I was on the bus that morning? Yes. And I was in the library on New Year's Eve of 2015? Yes. And the court refuses to acknowledge my rights as a United States citizen. And then, oh, look at that. Assistant at least equal to that guaranteed by the United States Constitution. When I read what their definition of effective counsel is, yes, I really thought about it. See, I've been on trial in the Superior Court of Clallam County numerous times. Yes, in 2012. Yes, in 2016. Right. Then I was on trial in Jefferson County. As far as I know, I still am. Yes. And the problem is that if the Indian tribes don't provide effective counsel at least equal to the guaranteed counsel that the United States governs, the state and federal governments, yes, they could probably get sued for that. Pooch. Why don't don't you give me every attorney and all public defenders and every prosecuting attorney and every tribal government? Now I know. You're representing an individual and you happen to be in a tribal government and you have effective counsel that is not equal to the guaranteed counsel that I received every time I was arrested.